About this time, I was sitting in a cafe at King's Cross in London, along with the guys in the band and Ziggy Wilson and a couple of other people. And we were just getting something to eat before we headed back up to Scotland. We just spent the most incredible few days in London in the company of 1,000 other Scots who'd converged on the capital, not just from Britain, but from America, from Alaska, Canada, France, Germany, Argentina, probably a few other places as well. And they'd all come for one reason. It wasn't for the Tartan Army, it wasn't a sporting occasion, but they'd come to pay their respects to one man, William Wallace. The day before was the 700th anniversary of William being murdered by the English. And we decided we just wanted to be there. Each of us individually wanted to be there. 1,000 turned up. There can be few people who have walked this earth that could attract 1,000 people to come from other countries to see them 700 years after they died. Wallace had that charisma, still has that charisma. Very, very powerful. During his life, he was that powerful that Edward I had to get rid of him. Unfortunately, it has been seen repeated over the centuries. It was because he was betrayed by a Scot. Too many times, Scotland has been betrayed by Scots who have been paid by English gold. It's not a historical thing, it's still happening today. On this occasion, it was by a guy called Sir John Menteith. Now, he actually betrayed Wallace at the old kirkyard in Rutherglen at a meeting there where he told the English exactly where to find Wallace, and Wallace was captured at the beginning of August at Rob-Royston. Menteith came from a wee place in Stirlingshire called Rusky, and part of the family lands was a stretch of water which is now known as the Lake of Menteith. The Lake of Menteith is the only lake in Scotland, and the reason it's the only lake in Scotland is because the locals refused to call it a loch. It wasn't worthy of the name if it held the Menteith name. So that's just a wee bit of information for you if somebody ever asks you, why is it the Lake of Menteith, not the Loch of Menteith? The trial, of course, was a total sham. Wallace was charged with treason, a charge which in itself couldn't possibly be valid. He'd never been a subject of Edward I. But he was taken after his sham trial, immediately outside, dragged behind a horse to Smithfield, where a huge crowd waited. The executioners were ready, the gallows were ready. Gives you a wee hint there that there wasn't any other way that the trial was going to go, when everything else was waiting for him. He was sentenced to be hung, drawn and quartered. We've all seen it on Braveheart, we know how barbaric it is. It was probably worse than Braveheart ever showed. His 4 limbs were sent to Scotland as a warning to other Scots. They were displayed publicly just so that Scots knew if they betrayed or were going to stand up against Edward I, what could happen to him. His left arm was displayed on Stirling Bridge on a pike. Now we know that Wallace was brought up by his uncle in Dunipace, who was a priest. So it's a pretty good bet that the monks at Cambuskenneth Abbey were pretty sympathetic to Wallace. Local legend in Stirling has it that in the middle of the night his arm was taken from Stirling Bridge and buried in consecrated ground at the Abbey in Cambuskenneth. And if you go and visit the Abbey, there is a long stone at the Abbey which points towards the Abbey Craig where the Wallace Monument now sits, but which of course was the vantage point that Wallace and Andrew de Murray surveyed the battle scene the day before the battle. It used to have WW carved on it. I think it's probably eroded away now. We believe his arm was there. There's no proof his arm was there, but we believe so. And in fact, some of us, I didn't make it, but some of us here were present last night when we had a wee ceremony just to pay our respects to what might be the only remaining part of the man. But of course, there was another reason why bodies were chopped into bits, because there was a medieval belief that you couldn't pass over into the afterlife if you didn't have a body. So Edward believed that by quartering Wallace, he was refusing him the chance to meet his day of judgment. Well, Edward succeeded in getting rid of Wallace in the short term. What he also succeeded in was turning the man into an instant martyr. And also, by refusing to let his soul pass over, it went somewhere. It went into the heart of every patriotic Scot that's lived ever since. And Edward could never have foreseen that. But to get back to the day, we all gathered at Westminster. This is where the trial obviously took place. We gathered there, had a wee ceremony there, and then we went outside to make the long march to Smithfield. Before I go on about the march to Smithfield, I'm going to do a wee song, because that's what I do.